Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Sebastian.
Hello, hello.
Okay, we're also live on YouTube now. Okay, so usually let's just wait 1 or 2 more minutes because we have usually little delay with the students, and then we can start. And if you guys want to share your screen, it's possible. We also have the Q&A feature, so in the chat, people are able to ask questions at any point. If there are some important questions, I'll ask them live, and then we're good to go. Okay, I think we can start the conversation and people might join in the next few minutes. So today we have Taggr. We have members of the Taggr ecosystem, or I don't know how to say, like member of the Taggr DAO. So we have Christian, Daniel, and Meka Khan. Sorry for the pronunciation. The Motoko Bootcamp is a place where we talk a lot about DAOs, and we talk a lot about what it means to build on the internet computer, what properties can we leverage, what kind of applications can we build. And I'm super excited to have you guys today because Taggr, I'm not a big user, honestly, because it's not the type of social media that I use, but I really like the experimentation aspect. And so today the conversation is to learn a bit more about how Taggr works and how it became so successful within the ICP ecosystem. So thanks for being here. My first question for each of you is going to be, how did you discover the internet computer? Was it with Taggr or was it with something else?
Who goes first?
Whatever you want, guys.
Wow.
By the
Since
account number, I would say.
Okay, cool. I'll go first then. I discovered the Internet Computer. It was 2017. It was from kind of an acquaintance of mine who said, "Okay, look at this. It will be cool." I was just a little bit late to participate in the seed round, and I was very upset about that. And then I kind of lingered on until 2021 when it was launched, and I played around a bit. And then beginning of 2022, I saw Taggr on Twitter. What is Taggr? And I got an invite link. I went in. It was very old school, like command line interface, and I love that because it reminded me of the BBS bulletin board systems, which used to be back in the days, how to connect to the internet. And I just took it for a spin, play around, found some very interesting people, very to the blockchain ethos, which was kind of disappearing in the crypto bubble. And I said, okay, it's nice to stick around this type of environment. That's the story.
All right. So you were already looking into ICP since 2017.
Yeah.
Quite an OG here.
But I love the idea. I love the idea. That's my story. I mean, I think second should be Mecca
Maybe.
in terms of numbers.
Okay. Yeah, so I was playing around with crypto, I don't know, 2020, maybe a little bit before. I mean, played around, bought a little bit of Bitcoin back in the day, but didn't really like get into it. Um, Try to get into some other ecosystems like Ethereum and what do you call it? Cardano and stuff like that. And I just didn't think it didn't really suit me. There wasn't much to do on those blockchains. I didn't find any kind of groundbreaking use cases or whatever. So then I saw some people on Twitter talking about Internet Computer. I started playing around in it. It had some real applications that you could use, not just DeFi and wallets and stuff like that, but actual applications. So I kind of got hooked on that. And that was in 2021, right as it kind of right as it kind of launched. And then yeah, and then what was it, about 7 months later, I saw all these kind of mumbling online about this new DApp called, or this new application called Taggr. So I was begging around for an invite. Finally got an invite, and I was immediately transported back in time to like early 1990s message boards. I'm an old guy, so it was kind of nostalgic for me. And I just thought, ooh, this is cool. It enabled some things that just couldn't be done on other blockchains, and I just kind of fell in love with it. And the rest is history, I guess you could say.
Yeah, ICP story. Okay, I think you have a pretty similar story to mine. I mean, around the same time, I was looking into other ecosystems, but on ICP, there are so many more things to like do and be active and contribute. I think that's why a lot of people are hooked in this ecosystem, even beyond like the prices, and it's just about opportunities, I think. Okay, cool. And I guess Christian.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Christian. I'm actually working at Definity since now 5 years. So I stumbled upon Definity in 2000, I think 18, end of the year. I was having a lunch with one of my ex-colleagues, and he told me that he got an offer from Google and from some other company in Zurich, and he's thinking which offer to pick. And I was like, "Are you crazy? You have a Google offer from Google, and you're still thinking, so what's this other company?" And he said, "It's Definity." Yeah, so I checked out. I was not even actively looking for anything at that time, but I checked them out, and this was the first time where this whole crypto thing actually, or yeah, suddenly did not promised any pies in the sky, but actually the narrative of Definity was back then an alternative to the traditional cloud, where we would build a decentralized, publicly owned compute infrastructure using the blockchain technology. And this made actually a lot of sense for me. I thought for many days about this, and I just could not discard this idea as something that would never work. So I thought I need to apply, and I did. Passed all the interviews and started in March 2019. And yeah, so I was one of the first engineers in Zurich, and was among those who were writing the first Rust, like lines of Rust code of the current implementation. I was first in the execution team, then I switched to the consensus team, and so on. And yeah, after Genesis, I was actually, playing with any IC dApp which was published on the internet computer. And then at some point, I somehow came or discovered Taggr. I do not remember even how. And what I liked about Taggr from the beginning is that it was very weird, and it did not try to be shiny. I don't think I used it much before pictures were introduced, because then, and at that time I was using Instagram. I was starting using Taggr as a test for what we actually have built, and it actually was fun as well. And so I started uploading my pictures to Taggr and Instagram, and it worked, and it worked and worked, and I used it more and more, so that eventually I even deleted my Instagram account, and Taggr became for me like I usually use this app to pitch to others. So look, this is a social media what you can build fully on chain on the internet computer. Yeah, and this was a really nice proof of concept for me. That is the story, I think.
Great story. And I think one thing you mentioned is the Definity vision, which attracted a lot of smart people. That's my feeling. Like having a vision so advanced was clearly like a advantage for Definity, because usually, people that have the knowledge, they want to work for like a grander mission, bigger mission. So this is also, I think, a strong point for like ICP and Definity. And yeah. And okay, so Taggr was not shiny. That's exactly what what I have like as an impression is really the hidden kind of application that you don't do a lot of marketing. Actually, there is not even like official marketing, I believe. It's more like word of mouth. So how does Taggr work? I don't know who usually take the answer to that question, but how does it work exactly? So let's say I want to start an account. What should I do? And should I pay? And how does it work?
Mecca, he's the one who answers that. Come
Okay,
on, don't be shy.
I thought Christian would be the guy who talked about how it works. um,
I'll take
because-
over the technical part, when we go under the hood.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, basically, it's a pay to post. I like to use this analogy. I'm sure if you've listened to any of the podcasts or anything before, you heard me say this many times. I call it the jukebox model, right? So if you walk into a pub or a restaurant that's got a jukebox, right, you can listen to other songs that people have played for free, right? But if you want to play your own song, you got to put in a quarter or a euro, and you got to pick your song, right? So you got to pay to play your own song, right? But you can still listen to other people's songs for free. So you can it's open, it's public. There's nothing hidden behind private gating. So you can read all the posts, you can see the pictures. You can't comment, you can't upvote, right? But you can see it all. If you want to make your own post, you want to upload your own picture, it costs credits. Credits are essentially the money of Taggr. Anything, any mutable action you want to do on Taggr costs credits. So you can get 1,000 credits for one XDR, which is apologies, back on notes, which is equal to $1.33. And that gets you 1,000 credits, which is pretty much good for the kind of regular user. And that can get you through a couple months. That's pretty much how the pay to post model works. I mean, I don't know how much details we want to go into in terms of how it works, but is there more specific questions about what different whatever activities on Taggr?
Yeah, no, I don't think we need to go exactly like how much credits like each action corresponds to the number of credits. What I'm interested in is how does it work on the high level in terms of how does the credit are managed? So is it something that is managed with maybe cycles, or is it managed with like an internal currency? How do I get access to the token? And how do I get started? Like if I want to get started now, how do I get started?
Well, there's two ways to get. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly mention that this whole credits idea exists because the Taggr was created from the ground as a autonomous app, and an autonomous app needs sort of it needs to be able to pay for its own hosting and resources, right? That means this ICP, which is the canonical way to pay for resources on IC by burning it and creating cycles, it needs to come from somewhere, right? And this is how Taggr has solved it by saying we have a treasury where users put their ICP according to how much they use the app, and then this ICP sits there and is and can be used when Taggr needs to pay for the resources, for example, to top up their own canister, its own canisters, and so on. So this is the whole thing, how it starts to be, or how it is autonomous from the beginning, but then the ICP needs to come from somewhere. And additionally, it also solves the second problem, namely spam, right? Because if people pay, they will not just spam and create meaningless content. They will try to at least optimize for their profitability, whatever the profitability comes from, right? And exactly. And the third idea was that if you reroute this to actually reactions, which are created on posts, if you pass on these credits to other users, you can use this surplus from the treasury to convert them back to ICP and pay out the ICP to users who created this content, which got a lot of traction, right? So it's like three things combined create this dApp, which can run autonomously, at least theoretically, if you don't break it. Right, and
I think you
yeah.
I think you summed up all the reasons that I wanted to talk about Taggr. So yesterday we had a lecture on what to build on ICP, and I was arguing that actually the fact that we don't have any constraint on ICP compared to like Ethereum or Bitcoin makes it really hard to, as a builder, to know what to build. Some people come, they have an idea, they have a startup, and they just want to use like a specific part of the technology. But I'm talking about people like me and some of the students at the bootcamp. We are just like really interested by the technology and we just want to build, but we don't exactly know always what we want to build. And I was talking about the advantage of ownership. So this is like the basis of Web3 ownership, this property, and also the vision of open internet services. This is what like drew me to ICP. And I don't think we have seen it as much as I was expecting, at least for now. And I think Taggr is what's the closest to an open internet service in the original vision. I hope my connection is okay. I've seen my
It's
screen
perfect.
frozen. Okay, so just on my side. So yeah, I would advise any builder to like dive into it and study how it works and all those micro interaction. I think it's like really interesting. Yeah, and also how public it is. Like I have this dashboard. I guess everything is coming from the canister and just very simple view of the ecosystem as a whole. Yeah. I have a question about the tech of it. So is it built within one canister? Is it a multi-canister application? And who is maintaining the code?
So currently Taggr, we actually see it here, right? The canisters. So we have one main canister, which is hosting most of the data of the social graph. Actually, everything, I think. And then there is this storage canister. Right. So what you see here is that it has two controllers, right? It's the canister itself and the NNS root canister. This one we added after the disaster we had last year in April. But if you go back, you will see there is a second canister, which is the storage 0, right? I think it's indexed because potentially we can have multiple ones. It's controlled by Taggr itself, by the main canister only.
Yeah.
And this is right now an append-only kind of data structure, super simple canister, where when you upload a picture or create a post with a picture, it's sent to this canister. And yeah, so that means all blobs are living in a separate canister. And so far we have just two of them. And now since we keep increasing the maximal storage of a canister, we probably will stick with this one single storage canister for a while, because it could grow, I think, up to 400 gigabytes right now, and we don't even have one yet.
Yeah.
No, sorry, we have 26. I'm sorry. Yeah. So it is a single canister, yeah, actually, because this other canister is only used for querying then the pictures once they are there.
So this one stores the, like, I guess the post also, the pictures?
No, only blobs.
Only the blobs. Oh, okay, only the blobs. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. And 26 gigabytes. Okay.
Right.
But you could, in theory, have multiple storage, right? But just one main.
As far as I remember, there is a logic that when the storage canister has allocated more space than whatever is configured, which I don't remember, Taggr would create a second one, and then a third one, and a fourth one, and so on. That means with pictures only, you will not be able to quickly fill up the space of this canister. You will only increase the costs of Taggr then, right? Because it also, you see, there are these cycles, and sometimes you see even in logs how the main canister automatically tops up the second one if the
Okay.
cycle balance falls below a certain threshold. Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
that existed from the at least since I remember, and that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And so who created Taggr and who is maintaining the code? Is it a team? Is it a single person? And yeah, how can we contribute to Taggr? Let's say someone wants to contribute to Taggr.
Megakwan or Radu, do you want maybe to take it?
Well, X created Taggr as far as we know, and yeah, X meaning that we don't know who X is. I mean, it could be multiple persons hiding behind this acronym.
It's
Uh,
the Satoshi of the
yeah,
of the internet computer.
yeah, and he's the main contributor in terms of codes, as far as I've seen on the GitHub repo. But there have been others joining the effort, like Christian, like others, and you'll see them in the GitHub repo, which is open. Beside that, of course, there are many discussions about how to build the logic before the code is built, meaning the logic of how the users interact, what are the futures, and how they will impact. And this is extremely interesting because usually with an app, you have like face-to-face meetings or Slack discussions. You know, there are somehow hidden discussions. They are not open to the public. Well, here, most of the discussions are public. Most of them. Of course, there are some discussions which go on like in some smaller groups, but all of the big discussions are in the open. And this is the extremely interesting experiment because, you know, there is an asymmetry of information. And some people know some things, and some people translate those things into their own thinking mentality. And you put up a simple feature, and you see all these people joining in the discussion and saying, "Oh, but this is not how it should be done, and this is not how it should be done." You don't know what their background are. You don't know what their intentions are, and it's like a nice pile of mess out of which somehow, so far, something ordered came out of it. And this is the other part which is very interesting because it's not only the people like us, the three of us here, who were mostly involved, let's say, more in the discussion and Christian in the code, but all the people of Taggr were involved in a way, in the way Taggr is shaped and has come out right now. And there are voices who are now more silent because maybe they use less Taggr or they went on to other chains somehow. People came and go, but everybody through the discussions and through the iteration process, which was done publicly, shaped Taggr in a way in terms of code, mostly X, and then the others who joined the effort in the GitHub repo.
So it's a very chaotic environment where a certain rules come out at some point and it moves forward. So yeah, that's super interesting. If that's what you explained, that's why I understood. Like it's chaotic discussion. There is not really leadership, or at least not very clear, and rules come out at some point somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's chaotic maybe if you compare to the structured order that you would expect in a team where there is an objective and you set up a timeline and a structure to achieve that objective, and you have milestones and you evaluate, and people are accustomed to being evaluated, how they performed,
Yes.
etc. Here, there is no roadmap. I mean, somebody comes up with an idea, I say, guys, let's do this. And then you have like 2 weeks of intense discussion, and somebody says, okay, I did that. Which is a part of what was discussed. And then we vote on that because everything is voted. And if it's implemented, it's implemented. And then we see something doesn't work and we need to vote again and we need to do. So I wouldn't say there is no structure. I would just say that the structure is like on what is pragmatic and what is foreseeable as the next step. It's not like a big structure on a long term where you have a lot of things which you want to go in a certain way, and you somehow want to force everybody, to go in that direction, because that's what usually happens with a team. You just iterate from 1 week to another or 2 weeks to another, and then you figure it out.
Yes, I think we're touching the point here. I was not saying chaotic in a like negative way. I think it's actually great because that's the point of an experimentation. Like the more kind of interaction between different ideas can emerge, the better it can be for the experimentation. And actually, this is something that I'm pretty interested in because I think the bootcamp should be, or at least the education side on ICP should be like this. Like I don't know, we don't know what's the future of ICP and the applications that will arise, and we need like a more experimentation than like saying to someone, okay, you have to build an NFT project and this is the way to do it, because I mean we are so early, like the experimentation I think are just super interesting. Anyway, next question.
On that point, can I just make one comment on that point?
Yeah.
Because there's this false belief that if you're part of a DAO and you have tokens and you vote, you can just make people do whatever you want. Right? That's not how anything in life works, right? Just because a majority vote to I don't know, make Radu shave his head or something like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? So the thing, I think there needs to be a bit of realism with the DAO that, it can only do what the code is programmed to do. You can't make someone code something that they feel is unethical or against the ethos of the DApp, if that makes sense.
You mean going against the? You mean like having code going against the will of the like more organic?
I'll give you a prime example.
Yeah,
let's say that X is the only developer, right? The DAO can make a proposal and vote overwhelmingly that X gives everyone his tokens. That doesn't mean that he has to do it. That doesn't mean that he's going to be forced to
Okay,
what do you call it, change the code. Yeah. So
okay,
I think
but
that's one of the
technically we
important.
could do it.
Yeah,
okay.
technically we could.
Yeah.
But
Exactly. If we would outvote him, like the entire DAO against him, we would probably, not probably, I think we would be able to outvote. That's something we could do. So, and this is something all of us have to live with, and that's why we are forced to come along, right? And find compromises and find ideas that work for everyone. And this is what makes it also very exciting. What makes it, or where the challenges come from, at least this was for me what pushed me to my limits in the last month, is when we experienced this growth and a lot of new people came from no idea where. And nothing bad about that, but the problem is there are a lot of very vocal people who are very new. They are also anonymous as most of us here, and they are super opinionated about a lot of things, and they think DAO means that they should have at least as many votes as all the people who were using Taggr for 2 years without any tokens at all because of the ideas of Taggr. They think we should all be equal at the moment where they join Taggr, and I disagree with that.
that's a good point.
But
That's a good point. DAO does not mean democracy.
Exactly. Like not one person, one vote.
Yeah.
Right. We have very interesting articles from Lorimer, I think, if I remember correctly, about what decentralizations actually mean, and that votes or the best outcome for everyone statistically comes or is the one which is weighted by experience of or weighted by the opinion of experts or something like that. But that can be followed up on Taggr.
Definitely. So yeah, that's one of the points that we talk about in this week. There is this assumption like DAOs equal one person, one vote, but this is just not how reality works. And also, I think DAOs are just a digital like organism, I would say, and there's going to be as much DAOs as organization and mission. Like I could, if I want to go into a very specific direction, I want to be like very directive. Maybe there is a type of DAO for that, which would be more like a traditional startup. And maybe I just want to experiment, and it would be more like a Taggr kind of management. So I think it's just like we cannot give a structure to it. It's just we need different structures for different type of organization. That's my point. Well, the next question, really important one. How does your DAO work actually? Like how you said that it doesn't execute code automatically. I'm curious because so we've seen the SNS. I've talked about the SNS. Students are familiar with the SNS, and I love the SNS. I think it's a great tool and like really easy, really secure, and access to like funding. So it's amazing. But I'm also interested in other types of DAO. So how does your DAO work? How do you guys vote? And when you vote, does like an action happen? Does something happen, or is it more like it has to come?
Maybe I misunderstood. Did you say it doesn't update automatically? Because the code does update automatically. But Christian can talk more about that. But basically, there's proposals that can be raised. So stalwarts who are, let's say, seasoned users, they can raise or submit an update or a new binary code, and then people vote on that. And then once the vote achieves 66%, then the code will automatically update.
Okay,
Oh,
so
we can actually take a look at the UI. Sebastian, could you please scroll down and scroll up, I'm sorry, to go to the top of the page. And now click here. Yeah, exactly here.
This one?
Yeah. Now click any of maybe release.
Okay.
So here, actually, you're not locked in, right? So you will not be able to do anything. But the idea here is that you just go write your description of the release. You provide the code commit, and then you attach a binary file. And then you click save or submit. And if you are a stalwart, this is just a subgroup of all people who are like there are different criteria how to get a stalwart, and Taggr automatically nominates or actually assign or makes you a stalwart if these criteria are fulfilled. Then you're able to submit this proposal, like the actual binary code. And then what you get out is when you scroll down a bit, for example, if you take a look at the latest release, this is how it will look like. There is a description. There is all this metadata, like who proposed, when, the link to the actual code, right? Exactly. You can actually inspect what is being proposed here. So this is just one commit. It is a bit easier to see if you go to actual releases and then exactly if you go to releases and maybe now go to compare.
Yep.
And then select the previous one.
Like
maybe
this one?
from the yeah exactly. So now it looks, by the way, a bit different, or the link works differently when the release is open. And here you see all the commits. You can go down and you will see all the code changes. This is how we review the code. And then if we agree with the code, we go back to the proposal.
Yep, it was there.
And then when you scroll down a bit, now this proposal is executed. This is why you don't see any buttons. But if it would be an open one, you would see reject, you would see adopt, and then you actually either adopt or reject. There are some protection mechanisms so that we don't kill the app like we did already once. But then you see the accepted and rejected parts. They literally display the voting power. So your vote, it's not a one person, one vote. It's not like the vote is not taken from the majority of voters, but they are weighted by the voting power. The voting power can be seen if you go up again and click go maybe to the main page of Taggr so that we get to the tokens. Now go to tokens. You didn't open the screen yet, so it's another dashboard you see. For example, here you see the top 100 token holders. This is approximately the distribution of voting power of the top largest wallets. What you need here is you need that 66% 2/3, which is a supermajority of all voting power, supports the release, and only once
Okay.
this happens, Taggr automatically upgrades itself with this binary code.
It's
To
already
reject a yeah.
sorry, it's already pretty decentralized, actually. I'm surprised. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
well,
look at the Nakamoto factor. I think it is now above 30 last time I looked. Could you please scroll up? The Nakamoto code. The only problem with the Nakamoto here is that since we do not know who is who, I think we should not take this number, actually. We should collapse all anonymous people from this 35 into one entity, like assuming the worst case of all worst cases, where let's say it's one entity manipulating all anonymous accounts.
Yeah.
But then we are still probably at 20 or something like that. That means we need, yes, like 35, at least current accounts, to get something voted through. Yeah.
All right. So it's a custom system that you guys have built. I mean, probably X, I guess, has built. And I heard that I think everyone heard that there was a issue at some point. I'm curious if you want to talk a little bit about it, if there is any like lesson to learn from that, and how it was resolved in the end.
Yeah, I can explain that because I helped it happen, or like, yeah. So
You're never gonna live that down, Christian.
yeah. So what happened is, I think in March, I don't remember the exact date, Taggr was decentralized, and we already had this voting and automated upgrades when a proposal gets accepted, right? However, it was all trust-based, meaning that we would see the hash of the binary attached, but then what was expected that somebody would go and reproduce the build from the code referenced from the upgrade proposal, and only if the hash matches, we would accept, right? However, turned out that most people, I mean, it was 4 weeks probably into our decentralization journey, and Taggr additionally incentivized everyone with some, I think it was 5 karma points or something like that at that time, to vote. It means it actually didn't matter to people how they vote and which button they click, they will get their 5 karma. So incentives were wrong. And then some very unfortunate situation happened where I actually was working on this immutable frontend for the Liquidity protocol, which I planned to deploy to IC and make the canister immutable. And then Manu drivers actually asked me, but you are going to have what is the name? Reproducible build. And I am, yeah, probably. However, I had no idea how to create reproducible builds. And at that time, Taggr already had an reproducible build. So at that time, I also was much more in contact with X, and I asked him to help with, because I copied the Docker file from Taggr and something did not work. So I asked for help. He helped me, and then I asked him, could you please reproduce the build and tell me the hash? Because for me, it would be the proof that my build is actually reproducible. He did that, the hash matched. So my task was done. And then a couple of days later, Taggr upgrades, and we see this immutable frontend instead of it. And then what turns out is that he used a command R, a command in the console, which is repeating like last command you executed. And he did not notice, I think, that he was actually copying a file, like the build of Taggr, to a wrong folder. So he accidentally, through my test, because I copied the Docker file from Taggr, I actually helped him to mess up the files, and he uploaded the wrong binary. But that was not a problem, or the actual problem. The actual problem is that we all voted on this release, and no one apparently reproduced the build. Because then we would notice.
So mainly, you think, I mean, beyond like human errors, because it will always happen? You think it was mainly due to incentives being wrong?
Yeah, well, both in this case. Incentives were wrong and human error, right? And then we upgraded to a completely wrong binary, which fortunately did not mess with the heap or the state of the canister. So there was at least one theoretical way back. However, since canister controlled itself, yeah, we had then this proposal which split the entire community if it should be done or not, because we needed a small hack in the actual protocol implementation on that subnet, which would assign the NNS root canister, which we have seen previously, to that canister, so that we can then create a proposal similar to how Dfinity updates II canister and all the other system canisters controlled by NNS, and then upgrade Taggr to a write binary, right? So this was an epic event.
Yeah, it was a touchy proposal because it was the first time that the NNS was actually involved with the application layer.
Yeah.
So that's a hot topic for sure. And yeah, I remember very well. And yeah, it was, I mean, it's hard. It's a hard topic. And especially for this case, like it was the team asking, the team itself asking for like kind of being saved by the NS. Yeah, but in the end, you guys managed to get back the application on track. And as far as I know, there hasn't been any issues since then.
Well, we also fixed this voting so that there is even no room for any human error anymore. Now, if you adopt a proposal, you need to attach the hash of the build, because now the hash is not displayed anymore, hoping that you will verify it. No, it asks you to provide the hash, because if you can provide the right hash, then you definitely either used the CI or you actually reproduce the hash yourself. For example, when I vote, I mostly reproduce the hash myself. So now the similar situation cannot ever happen. But this entire this was interesting because this actually demonstrated the capabilities of IC. And for me, it was quite surprising that so many people were against that. Because, for example, when this happened to DAO, like to the DAO of Ethereum in 2017, right? They had to split, like to fork the entire blockchain. And at that point, they would probably kill to have a feature like that, where you can just fix or fix something. Okay, it was much more difficult for them because there it was about reverting a transaction or not. In our case, it was probably ethically much easier question, because here it was only about if, NNS should vote on a protocol implementation which would fix something in the data space or app space, right? We would not need to revert any transactions or anything like that. So it was easier, and still was so hard and interesting to observe how it was perceived by half of the NNS DAO in a very different manner than.
Yeah, I think the resistance comes from the image of having an NS doing something to a dApp that the DAO of this dApp wouldn't approve. And since you guys, there was not really a way to be sure that the DAO Taggr wanted that. I know it sounds stupid because, of course, like you would want to save your application, but there was not like an official still voting system in place where the DAO could officially like say, okay, we agree that the NNS does that. It was hard, like, and it would set a precedent in the community. But yeah, I think it's also showcased the power of the IC, and it's I mean, we will have, I guess, more discussion like this in the future. I'm pretty sure there will be more situations like this, and as long as we, as long as the ecosystem is mature enough, I think we can survive that. Great discussion. I have a few more questions. We can talk about how the marketing works. So it's very kind of a grassroots community, as far as I understand. So where do you think those users are coming from? Because I mean, last time I checked, it was probably like a few months ago. It was not as much as it is today. I'm actually positively surprised. It's almost 5,000 users. So for a ICP niche application, it's impressive. Where are they coming from? Like, who,
5,000 accounts. We don't know how many users we have.
Okay.
They came to make Christians' life miserable. They we don't have any official. I mean, MechaCon has shouted into the void for 2 years at anyone who was on Twitter and Discord and everything. Come, is this great app? And many people said like, okay, I don't give a shit. But somehow, after the token became tradable, this is where the magic lies usually with crypto. You see the token and you see the price going up. Say, oh, this is a great app. I must join this great app. And because I have so many alts in my head, I will join and I will come with my 100 alts. And you create. I mean, we don't know how many are individual users. That's the whole point of it. But for sure, there are many individual users as well. And they came because most of them, my impression, and here is very important distinction because we are talking about Taggr, but we are all different people. And this is part of the DAO magic. We also quarrel between us on different things, but we still care about Taggr. So my impression is that most of the people came for the token. And then they understood there is a different way to use a social network. And at first they were skeptic about it. They say, oh, okay, I must do the work and I get no money. What is this? Crypto is about money. I must make money. And some of them said, oh, okay, this is really cool. I mean, I have people to talk to. And this discussion is not bullshit. It's not about Moon, Mars, and other stuff. It's about discussing with another human being from a different culture, from a different skill, with whom I can connect, and I can create something interesting. I can broaden my perspective. And you see this type of discussions, and they happen, and it's kind of interesting because, okay, I make token, boom, now I can talk to somebody else. What a nice idea. Oh, I didn't know that Taggr can do this. And you see this from people who've been on a monthly basis there. And this is how users came to Taggr, most of them. No other marketing. A bit of a podcast made by Blockchain Peel. A bit of a podcast made by Jerry Weinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, a lot of MechaQuant's tweets. I saw a lot of them on Twitter as well. So he was very
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate
did a
that.
great
Yeah.
job there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we had, I would say we probably had 100 regular kind of users, before the token. We had what was it, 1,200 accounts, but probably anywhere from 100 to 200 kind of active regular users, and they're really the core. And there was a lot of very good discussions and stuff that took place. A lot of friendships were built over that period of time. And I think, yeah, I mean, I see some people sticking with Taggr even after we made some changes to this kind of free money minting structure. Some people are sticking with it, and I see them kind of realizing that there's more to building this than just getting a few tokens. And I hope more and more people realize that there's something to build on here. That you don't have to deal with Elon or Zuckerberg or or one of these conglomerates that own all of your data, that mine, that track your user activity, that push algorithms in your face, that advertise to you, right? I mean, at the core of Taggr, that's what I believe in. That's why I joined, right? Because all those other social medias aren't offering a pure experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that some people come for the token. I know it's sometimes like when you are into those discussion and you have more like a philosophical approach or like ethical approach. It's easy to say like people are coming for the token and everything, but like I think it's a good part of crypto because most people move beyond that point once they understand really what crypto is about. And honestly, 99% of people came into crypto by curiosity and some, idea of, Bitcoin is moving up, so I can make some money. But then you understand that it's not just about that. So yeah, as a first step, I think it's totally fine. What do you guys want to talk about something specific? We have 10 minutes remaining, and I want to post my first post on Taggr because I am actually ashamed to say that. But I have never posted. I think I have an account because I created one like a long time ago, but I have never posted here. And I think it's just because it's not the type of social media that I use. I use Twitter a lot, but I don't use, for example, I don't use Reddit. Like I've never used Reddit. I know it's strange. I never used Reddit. I don't know. So how does it start? Let's say I'm posting something. So I have credits, right? I have some ICP.
You do.
I have some credits. Okay.
That's right. Hello world.
Hello world from Tuco Bootcamp. Let's see. Can I post some emojis or some
course.
kind? Cool.
And add a
Can I-
hashtag if you want.
Okay, I'm taking a screenshot of this. Let's see. Can I put it? Okay.
Yes.
How do I use the hashtag? Okay, to get because I think they are realm, right? So what are
No, the hashtags are they are clickable and then you get to a feed of all posts containing this hashtag. So you
Okay.
might add it to Motoko or Bootcamp if you later want to these posts to appear in these feeds,
Yeah, okay. But
Okay,
I don't
Taggr
know.
will be a very expensive tag
Oh yeah.
because
Is
you're
the cost?
charged. Yeah, you're charged by the popularity of a tag. If a lot of people have subscribed to this tag, then your post will appear in their personal feeds, and so you pay them for the visibility.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I have 900 credits, so let's go. Cool. And so the picture is on chain as well? As you said, it's the blob is uploaded.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we have 5 minutes remaining. Let's see if we have some question in the chat. We do actually. Is there any API which one can use to analyze what is going on Taggr? What are the main topics? So I guess.
There is an API, yes. It's just how user-friendly it is because Taggr is using JSON for the communication between front-end and back-end. So it is not usable with DFX, but this API is reachable from the JavaScript console of the browser. Which is not probably what the person who asks that has in mind. So I think the only DFX API Taggr has is that can be used by bots to add posts.
Okay.
It is in the white paper. Yeah.
I was curious as to why you guys didn't have a Candid UI. So I guess I have my answer. Do you have any plan in the future to have a Candid UI, or are you moving and sticking with JSON?
You need to ask, you need to ask X for that. I guess he just used whatever was needed and did not use what was not needed, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, if it is needed, it can be always added, especially if somebody convinces the DAO that it would add value to Taggr. We, of course, would support it, right?
Okay, so our next question, are there any incentives for dev who may want to contribute to Taggr, for example, picking up feature requests from the backlog? What should be the approach if someone wants to work on some of the requests? For example, add a profile picture, someone would just start building and make a PR, or do they align with the DAO before? Can you
Actually, the
talk?
profile picture was already added. It is in the MR is in review right now. It was added by Ulan, my colleague from Definity. The other thing I would say that we do not have a backlog right now, even though there was a announcement that we would soon get, or that's what X said, he wants to build some kind of a community-driven backlog where everyone could put features and contribute to their order. And then we would have something like that where somebody could just pick a feature, implement it. The incentives are there, a lot even. For example, right now, people who review the code publish reports on every proposal, upgrade proposal. And then those who depend upon these reviews are reacting to their posts. That means they get rewards, and then every Friday they get tokens minted. And additionally, we also have, if you go to proposals, you would see there are two types of proposals, fund and release, or reward, fund and reward, exactly. That is also something we sometimes use to mint an amount of tokens to somebody who did something great for Taggr.
Is there a way to see the rewards previous one? I guess like this.
I don't know if there was a hashtag there or not. You mean if you want to see?
Yeah,
these posts are definitely discoverable. I just would not know how you can get right there.
Yeah,
You just need to scroll down and see, because the different proposals are release and rewards, and you just need to scroll down on the page.
Okay, I guess maybe I need to scroll down more.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess not all proposals are shown here.
Okay,
it's not paging QC.
Yeah.
And
so it's probably last N or something like that.
Is there like a way to get below that? I wanted to see just how a reward proposal looks like.
I think the last one was even created by myself. So what I can do is I can look into my journal and maybe find this post quicker than when you just scroll. 1 second. Remember, guys, it was for this YouTube video.
Yes, it was on 31 of January you created it.
1st of January.
Yeah.
How do you know? Do you have my post?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I found it.
You found it. Okay, I did too. Let me drop the link in the chat, and then you can open it from there. So you see a description where I try to motivate why I think like these are people who I am working with. They're from the Russian-speaking community. I'm working with them since 2 years, and they did a great video about Taggr. And here what I actually tried, and before that we had already multiple people who created other videos, and we never created rewards for them. I thought it was wrong. And here since I know the guys, and I thought I will try to create one so that hopefully others start creating similar rewards as well. And what you see here is, it was a unfortunately controversial one, because most people only support proposals if tokens get minted for them.
Yeah.
But 66% supported it. And you see the way it works is, again, everyone enters a number of tokens they think are fair to be is a fair reward for the effort described. And then Taggr computes a weighted average. And the weight is coming from your voting power. That means what it ended up is with 187 tokens.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 180. Yeah, indeed. Okay, I did not see that it even correlates with the voting power. but it's 187 tokens. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's cool that I think it's a great thing that DAOs don't have a scarcity mindset. Like they can actually give rewards to people that bring users, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was the question to somebody's asking, is there incentive? Yeah, so if you build something for the DAO, you can either, I don't know, I guess somebody could negotiate with the DAO upfront and saying, I would build something for so much or for so many tokens, right? And then we would create, for example, the fund proposal. If somebody did it as a like just because they thought it's cool, we can retroactively reward them. But then it is something like that where everyone enters some number they think is fair, and then it is a weighted average. But there are ways, definitely.
Thanks. So, well, the last question, can the GitHub student dev account come in handy when developing a DAO? Well, I can answer that. It's yeah, the GitHub student dev account has a lot of reduction and free subscription. But I'm not sure I see the link with the DAO exactly. Like, yeah, we need to be a little bit more precise, I guess. Do you have something you want to add before we wrap up? Anything?
Maybe we do it again after your students or people who are interested in this have more specific questions about Taggr, because it's such a different model, and I think people will have questions, and probably it's better to address like specific questions because we've talked a lot about general stuff, and Taggr is a bit different than others, so maybe they want to dive into some specifics.
Okay, great points. So thanks everyone. Thanks Daniel, thanks Christian, and thanks Meka for coming today. Maybe you can drop your Twitter profile. I will add it to the YouTube description of the video. Make sure to follow them, and also make sure to
Twitter profile.
to
You meant Taggr profile.
yeah, tag your profile. It's the habit, you know, like anyway.
I was
Well,
joking as well.
of course. And I'll make sure to add the link of on Taggr. Thanks, Guy, for joining, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for having us. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.